My name is Nadia Adhiambo Olwacholunya, and I'm an animator and pianist living and working in Nairobi. I founded a studio called Nalo Studios, and I've been practicing with my craft for the past 12 years.
My name is David Davido, and I'm a fashion designer born and bred in Kibera slums. I make clothes for a living. This is my 3rd year in fashion.
I'm Chalwek, based in Nairobi. I do graffiti, illustrations, and just everything you can think of creative. I've been doing this since 2015, and I'm mostly based in Nairobi.
Samuel Juguna Karongo. I'm from Gashie. I'm an artist. My passion for furniture, I think it was about the way you're not closed up, because wood is always a living thing. It has a character.
My name is Emma Cheruto. I am an architect based in Nairobi, Kenya. I am 24, in my final year of uni in UON doing architecture, and I've been practicing for about a year now. This is one of the sites that I'm working on. I wanted to do music all the way. My dad told me you do a serious course.
My name is Trevor Maingi. I'm a Kenyan photographer and filmmaker. Photography is something I stumbled upon. Never went to school to study it. I have a background in aerospace engineering and software development.
My name is Ben Soul, aka Suda, aka Papa Soul. I'm basically an artist, a musician from Nairobi, Kenya, singer, songwriter, producer, instrumentalist, music director, and an artist under Soul Generation, a label under Sauti Soul. I've been doing music for quite some time, Well, I started doing it when I was quite young, but professionally from 2013, ndio nilianza kutengeneza pesa.
So I'm lucky that I had a lot of support growing up. So I think from 3, at least that's how my proud parents always started. And I was 3, scrolling all over their documents and causing havoc in the house. They were like, there's something there. So they took me to every art camp. They bought every set of crayons, every set of paper. And it's been like that.
What's around me, I can support. Because you're mama.
I think I have been privileged, very blessed to know people who are immersed in the industry for years on end. So maybe whether it's a friend of my mom or a friend of who can come and say, no, I know an architect.
My father was so against me doing music, like crazily, Yani mpaka alikuwa na guitar mpaka akajua aliuza ama alifanya nini. So I never used to do music in front of him at all kwa sababu he was so against it. But I believe hiyo venye alikuwa against it used to make me even want it more.
My art actually came naturally. Back in primary school, I used to have this cool desk mate who used to draw Disney characters, and I was like, I want to be among the cool kids of the class. So they were all guys. So I told them, like, I want to learn how to draw. They're like, sawa, you come and then we can draw together.
I learned my skills in Kibera just by, getting to see how other, tailors and other artists do their job around.
I actually went to school to study art. High school I did art, but in campus I also did design, and I majored in illustration. Why I did that is because I felt it was important in adding onto my skill set, and education also has a way of opening some doors.
I studied art in Buruburu Institute of Fine Art for 1 year and a half, then I didn't finish, I dropped out.
When I studied at Sheridan College, it was one of the top animation schools in the world, and my faculty were people who would call Mr. Disney Walt, people like this. So it was a lot of fun, hard, but I think both were met. My natural desire or aptitude was met with amazing instruction and discipline.
I went to school for a year and then I never went back, but I have maybe hopes of maybe going back again in the future.
I picked up photography as a hobby. Then from there it things just started happening. Guys started reaching out. Then I was like, there's really much more to this photography than just throwing things on Instagram, posting random stuff. So from that point, that's when I was like, let me see how far I can go with this. I like calling it a wild dream, chasing a wild dream, because it's something I never planned for. If you asked me 5 years ago where I see myself, I'd probably say in an 8 to 5 job, probably coding or doing random stuff. But photography and film, it's something that I wouldn't picture.
I remember my mom telling me that nikiwa mdogo, nilikuwa nachukua mwiko, the cooking spoon, nampigia ni kama gitaa nikimwimbia. And then like even for me to sleep, they used to make sure kwanza wamewasha radio nicheze ngoma ndio nilale. So I feel like music is something that I was exposed to ever since I came into this world.
The piece behind me, it's a guy and a woman. Most of my pieces are titled African Essence. So their hair is free and blue and just wild. So for me, blue represents the ocean, water, the way water is fluid. You can't box it somewhere, it will still flow and be free.
And since color speaks so much for us, that is when I was like, okay, I want to use fashion as a way of teaching people the things that I know that will be hard for me to express to them, maybe through dancing or maybe just through verbal talking. But if I express to them through the clothes that I make, maybe they will understand it more better.
All the instruments I play, most of them are self-taught. And actually all of them are self-taught, but I also studied music in high school, like a proper subject. At least I feel like that's where I got most of the theory.
With all the disappointment as well, like the number of do not reply emails I've received from all these studios, girl, like it has been painful.
When I started like doing fashion, I did not just start like, having like, the motive of making money out of it. Because that time we had like, a stigma whereby if you're from the ghetto, from the slum, you cannot be representable. If you're from this area, maybe you're just like, associated with like, thugs or prostitution, drug abuse, criminal activity, So when I started like making clothes, at first it was like just to show the world that also like good things can come from places least expected. Good clothes can be made from Kibera, better clothes like even maybe Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and those are the brands that people knows around.
I like to think of myself as a storyteller. If I'm working with you, it's more of what story are we telling? So I look for interesting people, fun people, and people with stories.
Being like a dropout, you don't even have any people and you don't know so many people. You're just like a guy from Gashie, which even people will be Googling what is Gashie. So I had to think of something. I teamed up with my friend called Ken. He was also from Bifa, and he wanted like someone who we can share the same goals. He has the same idea about changing the perspective about art and making art being around us and how it can change our lives.
What next? The next thing is like to be able to create, job opportunities for everybody around. So my main motive is normally like, okay, if I do any project, it's not just helping me, it's helping like, the 10 people around me. The next time I'm gonna do another one, it's gonna help like 10 other people. Like if we help 10 people, these 10 people, maybe each of them have like, a family whereby they end up feeding like maybe 2, 3, 4 or 5 kids. So 4, 5 kids times maybe 10, that is like already helping like 50 people. The next time you help these other people and the other people. So that was like the main motive when I started it, and I'm still keeping up with it, and it started paying the bills, the better. And now I'm able like to focus more and more to be able for me to go like to create a big space for them, so that they can be able like to continue doing this and eventually like support their families and kids, and just create like a factory for us, not to always go to China. We can create our own China here. First ever person that I ever made an outfit for, his name was Dr. Cheng. Till to this point, like he was the first ever person that Omsali support me. Nilikuwa navuta glue mangoa nini zote, tulikuwa nalala line hapo hivyo, kama tulikuwa na msee alikuwa anapitanga bike na tulia na bike matime, kama nishaenda uchoko chini nimeshamaliza busy, nakuja tunatulia na bike hapo, wasa wanapiga round na ngovo round moja ngovo. So mimi nilikuwa msema glue, so msee alikujanga akaniteki.
We all understand that there's a disconnect between school and work. You can read and you can study for something, but once you get into the actual field, things are different. So I'm privileged to be able to you know, to have that person who holds my hand. He's a contractor. He's called John. Love him to bits.
The person who gave me more interest alikuwa Mordecai from Had the Band. And namshukuru sana ndugu yangu sana. I used to see him write songs for Heart and involve pia tunaandika mavitu mingi. Na I feel like hapo ndo nilipata hiyo courage ya kuandika mangoma zangu sana, and even performing just by myself with the guitar and all that. And then sasa right now my biggest like mentor saizi ni BN sana kwa sababu tunapatana naye sana, and then the man has knowledge journey for days.
I'd say YouTube University is my teacher, but I had friends that ask questions or hang out with friends who are good photographers, so I learned through both.
I mostly got support from my mentors, specifically graffiti, because in campus I felt like I was not learning as much. So I met these guys who are doing graffiti and I approached them and they actually taught me. So I'd say they impacted my art and my style greatly. Yeah. My mentors helped me know how to approach clients and how to price, the kind of paints to use. So I think they impacted me greatly, because I usually say without them I couldn't know what I was doing right now, because I had the talent, but talent without knowing what to do with it, it's just nothing. So they actually helped me move from just drawing and actually making money, making a living out of art. So they impacted me greatly.
If you're around someone who's creative, you always end up at times trying to swerve to that world. So even if you're not fully creative, you can still manage to be in the zone.
My biggest influence was Swift Graffiti. He's a Kenyan graffiti artist, and my teacher, Francisca Odundo, she actually let me do whatever I wanted. So yeah, she's a great teacher.
Now I have a new guy I'm teaching. I'm happy, like he's understanding the openness of the world and my mind.
There's so many people who want to learn, but I'd rather you come to me and tell me I want to learn portrait photography. Like, it's something I do and it's something you want to learn, rather than I'm a beginner photographer and I'd want to learn from you. So I always tell people, go out and shoot till you know what you want. Forget about the camera settings, forget about gear. Go with your phone, just shoot. Until it gets to a point I'm like, okay, I think I'm drawn towards weddings. I think I'm drawn towards people. Then from there you can seek mentorship. It's way easier than going, like if I come to you, you're a wedding photographer, they tell you, I want you to mentor me. And I don't do weddings or I'm not good with people. There's no way that the mentorship thing would work. So yeah, it's something I'm playing around with. Don't know how long it will last, but yeah.
Yeah.
So the first time I started managing talent was 15 years ago. Okay, we're not going to do too many numbers around that, but the same problems we were trying to solve 15 years ago, we're still trying to solve now. There's been success on individual levels, so like you were asking, in the group or as an individual. In individual levels, some of the people or the projects I've worked with have done great things. But the industry, or what we like to call an industry, I'd like to argue against us actually having an industry. But the industry as a whole has not progressed. So today, if you come in as an artist, you go through the same cycles that we went through 15 years ago, and then you reach the same ceiling, and then you give up, and then we start with a new artist, and we go through that. Having looked through it, I think if the people who started collaborated with more people as they came in, we'd be able to extend the life of the ones who are there, but we'd also shorten the journey for the ones coming in, so that we're not walking around this unfruitful forest, and yet there's a fruitful one down the river and we don't know. So I think there needs to be faster ways to learn. The best way to learn is from the experience of others. And so to get other people to speak, whether it's through mentorship or through schools or through ways we can watch documentaries and hear the stories of the people who've been there before, so that we can continue. So I don't think collaboration has to be just us sitting and working on a project together, but us collaborating in the way we think, us collaborating in the place we're going to, and whether it's as animators, all the animators knowing that we want to be the destination for animation in Africa, and then working towards that in your individual capacities. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, but having seen what has happened in the competitive space that has been there, where every artist is trying to get to #1 on the chart, and everyone wants to have the highest paycheck or the highest what, eventually it all comes down. And so until we can standardize some things, I don't see a big future. And so for me, the collaboration just brings standardization, where we have the same vision and we're going in the same direction, and then hopefully in a shorter time, so then we don't have to have the next review in 15 years, but in 2 years, we can start to see the industry as a collective move forward.